welcome back. Bang. Episode number 10, dude. We in double digits, dog. We in double digits. Yeah, man. What it do? What it don't? How's life been? Mine's been wild. We got stuff going on. I'm engaged now, dude. Look, I'm engaged now, man. I'm gonna be getting married very soon. Super exciting. Wild to think about. I always saw myself as that guy. Like, man, I just felt like I was gonna be like 35 and single and married through your career. I thought that was me. I thought that was my path. I thought that's where I was gonna end up. But no, dude, here I am. When it hits you like a ton of bricks, in my experience. I know it's probably not that way for everybody, but in this case, man, yeah, dude, I'm excited. I'm excited. Y'all are gonna keep getting updates, but thanks to everyone for the congratulations. Thanks for everyone that reached out. It was really cool. The little welcome party that everyone had uh, for that announcement. So, yeah, thanks, gang. But I'm thrilled. I couldn't be more happy. So that is an exciting piece of my life and what's going on. Today's topics, man, is we're gonna do something a little bit different. No Q&A this week. Same thing. I just kind of forgot to put up a Q&A. So we'll do a Q&A next week. Get y'all involved a little bit, whatever you want to talk about, subject matter, whatever it is. We'll dive into it. But today I've got some stuff I wanted to talk about, primarily surrounding bodybuilding. But this can apply to anybody that's really just trying to put muscle on, man. That's trying to grow. That's trying to get in the gym, get huge or not, whatever it is. Honestly, man, it's just like anything else. Like, I feel like some of these principles that we see in bodybuilding in general and some of the discipline that comes in can be applied across everyday life. Doesn't have to be related directly to bodybuilding. This is stuff that you can apply everywhere, man. But we're going to start with a couple of broader topics and then diving into what I believe are the committed principles of a real bodybuilder, right? Because there's a difference of like, of just like wanting to get big. You kind of like don't really have any like plans of competing, maybe, and maybe you don't see that as like your future or as a career of some sort. It's just kind of what you do. There's a little bit of a difference there, but starting with uh, the biggest the biggest thing to reach for my young guys, especially not even necessarily my young guys, maybe if you just don't make a ton of money, whatever it is, but bodybuilding on a budget. Dude, and look, this is my origin. This is where I started. Whenever I started bodybuilding, I was like 19. And dude, I was on a budget for years. It's like on a real budget. I still budget myself now. But back then it was like I couldn't afford the chicken breast. I couldn't afford the grass-fed beef. I couldn't afford high quality whey protein. I had to do I had to do what I could do. My cheat meals were not sushi nights with my lady, you know what I mean? My cheat meals were that $5 hot and ready straight out the Little Caesars, dog. That's what we did, okay? And we eat the whole thing. When we get that pizza and we set it down in front of us, it is hot and it's ready. I eat the whole thing. What I used to do, I used to get that hot and ready. I used to crank that oven up to about about 420. I get it real hot. Put that hot and ready on the top rack. Man, caramelize that cheese a little bit, my boy, and we eat the whole thing. I don't suggest it. All right, I don't suggest that, but that's what I used to do for my cheat meals, man. My boys were around to see that. You a real one if you watch me eat one of them hot and readies on a leg day. You know who you are. But on a budget, man. How do we bodybuild on a budget? This is great for all my college students, the guys that are just trying to put on some mass. You can't really afford everything that comes with bodybuilding at that time. And how do you save some cash and still eat all this food, man? Because it's a lot of food, and especially if you're a guy with a higher metabolism, you're gonna have to really push the amounts of food. So, what did I do? And what worked? One, rice is cheap, okay? You can go get huge bags of rice. You can buy a 20-pound bag of rice for 15, 20 bucks, something like that. All right, bang. You got carbs knocked out for at least a couple of weeks. So big bag of rice. Hey man, some of y'all don't like it, but it is what it is. Tuna fish, bro. Man, I used to buy them big cans, those big cans of tuna fish. I buy them 10, 12 at a time because they were like $2 each. I know everything's a little bit more expensive now, but that's gonna be cheaper than going and getting you some like high quality chicken breast, I promise. And dude, it's quality protein. I mean, it's fish, dude. It's lean. You're gonna have depending on if I usually got it in water, so I reduced the amount of fats that I was working with. But yeah, man, I got the big cans of tuna fish and water. Whenever it comes to fat sources, dude, I peanut butter. Peanut butter is cheap, man. Almond butter, yeah, it's probably better for you for sure. But peanut butter cheap, dog. Big old jars of peanut butter, big cans of tuna fish, big bag of rice. And there's some cheaper oils that you can get your hand on too. Like, at that time, man, you're trying to save some money, get the big bottle of the great value olive oil. It's better to get the stuff in the dark glass jars and your higher quality stuff, but it's about twice the price a lot of times. So, yeah, man, that you got to minimize your spending in these scenarios in your life as much as you can. And when you're trying to do that, those were my wheelhouse go-tos right there. And I'd go buy a big one of those big tubs of whey protein. Remember, like, yeah, it might seem like at the time you're saving some money by buying the little ones, but you're getting more out of less, more protein out of less spent when you go with a bigger tub. So always get you a bigger tub of your protein. Go ahead and get it knocked out. I never really suggest anybody or push them to doing mass gainers because I think they're a bit of a rip. I mean, it's just there's a lot of garbage calories in a lot of those mass gainers, so I'll probably stray away from it. Real food, dog, real food. For a while, their eggs was cheap too, so I'd be doing eggs, but eggs got expensive, so maybe that's not best for the budget at the moment. And then another good go-to is you can go buy big packs of like the chicken tenders and stuff for pretty cheap, man. You can probably eat on a pack of chicken tenders for at least a day or two when it's $10 or so. So depending on at least like how big you are, how much protein you need. So I mean, that's a great place to start, man. And then buy you a water filter, man. Don't go buy you a gallon every other day. Go get you a water filter. Maybe buy you a refillable gallon tub and do it that way. Fill up on that. Fill up your water filter. Don't be buying gallons over and over and over again. That's going to stack up in cost. So that's something I still do now. Is I use my water filter. It's wasteful to just continue to buy these gallons. So sometimes I'll go grab a gallon tub if I know like I'm kind of in a little bit of a rush. And I'll sip on that, but I'll refill it at least a couple of times before I toss it. So yeah, man, that's kind of the go-to right there. Whenever it comes to gym memberships too, like you gotta weigh, cost and benefit. Yeah, you want to go to that private gym that's nice and got all the good equipment, and in my opinion, that's worth spending the money. But if you really don't have it like that, go down to the road to the corporate spot that's gonna save you an extra 10, 15 bucks, 20 bucks. Weights are weights, man. So you can go bang it out wherever you need to. It's kind of what you're willing to do at the end of the day. Where are you willing to go? If you got a budget, man, how much you got to save. So those are kind of the avenues that I always look to. Go check out the corporate spot. Go check out and dude, shop at Walmart. Shop at Aldi. Don't go to Publix. Don't go to the fancy grocery. Don't go to Whole Foods. Let's be honest, dude. You're getting upcharged. You're gonna spend a lot more money out there. Whenever you get the opportunity to, and you can start shopping there, it's gonna be nice, and you're gonna remember the times that you had to shop at Walmart. But dude, I would drive an extra 5, 10 minutes out of my way to go to Walmart whenever I couldn't afford to like really pack in the quality stuff. So that's a great place to start, man. Make sure you're not, don't bougie yourself up and spend that extra money that you can't afford to trying to bodybuild, because to be honest, You should bodybuild because you love it and you want that lifestyle, man. It shouldn't be one of those things where you feel like you're gonna make, you know. I hope you want to chase your dreams and be a big name. Like if that's what you want, man, go for it, big time. But like the truth is that most people that bodybuild are not gonna be Olympians, are not gonna be the best in the world. There's a lot of factors that have to be going in your way for that to be the case. And if that's the case, you probably know who you are. But truth is, man, um, bodybuilding is expensive and it probably ain't gonna pay you back. So you've really got to understand like how to get the most out of the least, especially if you're a young man and you don't even know if that's what you want to do with your future. If you know you don't want to be a career bodybuilder, you gotta weigh the cost and benefit. The other topic I want to dive into, man, is bodybuilding and balance. I hear this talked about all the time, and let's be honest, man. If you're a champion in anything you do, if you're great at anything you do, you're probably not. You probably don't have that super balanced lifestyle. Like it just is what it is, man. And whenever I refer to balance in this scenario, because my version of balance and most people's version of balance is very different. Most people's version of balance is how can I go hang out with my friends? How can I go out on the weekends? How can I go party? How can I, go have a good time and enjoy my life and right, like how can I do all those things and bodybuild at the same time? That's the one version of balance that most people refer to. The version of balance I refer to is how do I bodybuild at a high level, coach and work at a high level, and then outside of that, get to the things that I enjoy, personal hobbies of mine. I like music, I like to read, I like to write. I want to hang out with my fiance now. I like to hang out with her. I like to hang out with her. I want to spend time with my family. And how do I see my friends in between whenever I get to? Like that's my version of balance, right? And the fact is, 90% of the time that I'm awake, it is dedicated to those first two things, to work and to bodybuilding. It's just how it is. I always looked at like my 20s, and my 20s is not a time to chill out. Like my 20s is time to get ahead. I got to put work in. The fact is, I'll probably never really chill out like that. It probably doesn't matter what my net worth is or what I've got. I'm probably never going to chill out like that. I'm always going to throw myself into something. It's just how I'm wired. But that's my version of balance. So, and the first version of balance that I'm referring to of how do I still party and do this and that, just know you're only going to make it so far. You're going to limit yourself. You're probably gonna get hurt more often. You're going to lose sleep. You're going to lose time. You're going to take time away from things that are valuable. And one that's either going to be helping you achieve a better financial position to do what you love in bodybuilding, or two, just straight up take time away from bodybuilding. So balancing that and me and that lifestyle, we don't mesh. you know, we just don't. There's like lifestyle clients I have that are very much that way. That like they want to enjoy and do this and that and then like stay healthy too. We can do that. We can balance it that way. But you want to be a bodybuilder, right? Like, nah, dog. It just don't work like that. It just don't work like that. Uh, how do you balance on my end of the spectrum though of what I refer to as actual balance? How do you balance your life in bodybuilding? How do you not let your relationships fall behind in bodybuilding? How do you not let your work life fall behind in bodybuilding? And dude, it's hard. It's hard. It's not easy by any means. The fact is that recently I realized that at the end of my life, I'm not going to look back and go, man, I wish I was just a little bit bigger, a little bit leaner, a little bit stronger. All those things are really cool, and I want to be a high level bodybuilder. But I also realized that it's more so down the road for me of, man, what did I do during those times to provide for my family better, to get to spend time with them better. So for me, a major goal for me is like, how do I further my career? So, there's this constant like little battle going on, man. There's like, The career life and the bodybuilding life for me are absolutely going at each other all the time, and doing it at a high level both, because yeah, I do believe that I can certainly be a very high level bodybuilder, and I think I will be. I know I will be in due time. I just want to take my time with it, and I want to push the progress as quickly as possible, no doubt. But I'm in it for the long game, man. I'm not here to I'm not gonna be a one and done kind of guy. I want to be very like pro ready by the time that I get on stage again. Period. I want to dominate and then go right into the pro ranks and dominate there. I don't want to screw around and waste my time competing year after year after year to not be great. It just sounds pointless to me. So, but then with a career life, man, it's like, yeah, dude, I gotta pause what I'm doing, go get my food, eat, work while I'm eating. Pause my work again, go eat again. Pause my work again, go train, come back, eat, go back to work. And it's like never ending sometimes. It's like cyclical. So it's not easy to balance. And there's days that I found myself being like, I'm from 7 a.m., sorry, 8 a.m. or so, really to like I've worked to like 10 and 11 o'clock before because I'm trying to fit all the bodybuilding stuff in between. Is that a balanced day? Is that a balanced life? Not really. you know, not really. Is it worth it? In my opinion, 100%. Do I get stressed out sometimes? Yeah, man. Yeah, I get stressed out sometimes. Who wouldn't? Uh, is it going to be worth it though? 1000% yes. Of course it will. And you just got to keep putting that work in, no matter what, man. People get so caught up in their heads about they want everything and they want it now. The truth is that you have to carry sustained action day after day after day for not weeks, months, but years to get where do you want to be. You see all these people that look like overnight successes. The fact is overnight successes are made after years. You didn't see them in all of their tough times. You get to see the benefit. You get to see the nice car. You get to see the house. You get to see the highlights on Instagram. And the fact is, you didn't see all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. So it takes long days, man. It takes long days. It takes a lot of work. You got to be a dog. You got to be a dog mentally, physically, spiritually. Everything has to be centered to have that champion mentality. And I mentioned this recently, man. I've never been no C-bum fanboy. I'm not really a fanboy of nobody. Every man bleeds like me. But the fact is there's people I do in this industry hold in high regard and have a lot of respect for. I don't know anybody that doesn't have high respect for C-bum in general. An incredible champion for a reason. And recently he did a podcast where I didn't listen to the whole thing. I just heard a clip of him saying that a real champion mentality, all it means is you don't have no quit. You don't have any quit in you. And that's, boy, nothing can be closer to the truth for me. You just don't stop. You look at guys like Sean Clarita, two-time, I believe, 212 champ now, who comes in like 10, 15 pounds under cap consistently, if not more. 20 pounds under cap, I think, sometimes under weight cap, and is winning Olympia. Dude, this guy, came from nothing. You want to talk about come from nothing? Dude's been doing it for like a decade or more. I mean, actually, I think even more, 15 years, I think. Just never stopped. Just never quit. And now he is one of the best in the world, an Olympia champion, as high a prestige as you can earn. Because he started as some featherweight bodybuilder who was, string bean standing on stage at 5'2" or 5'1" or however tall he is. And now the dude's an Olympia champion, dog. I mean, he's almost 40. That's a dude that just saw the long-term goal, and he's like, yeah, I'll do that. Prove everybody wrong. And I'm sure it was in his mind sometimes being like, I got to prove people. Yeah, I want to prove everybody wrong. But the fact is he'd rather prove himself right about himself, If you're sitting there trying to prove everybody wrong, your mind's in the wrong place, man. You look within and realize what you're capable of. You don't want to let yourself down. That's what it boiled down to. Man, on another subject, I was just thinking about this. We got about 5 more podcasts in this studio setting. We're coming up on the end of the beginning of this podcast, pretty much, I'll be moving in like 6 weeks or so, 5 weeks, I think. And yeah, new studio setup, man. I'm so excited. I'm gonna have an office space slash studio. I film this in my living room right now, okay? And man, I'm gonna have more space. I'm gonna have just an actual studio, which I'm so excited about. Hopefully, upgrade the quality of the podcast too. I really want to get me a new lens for the camera. I know this one works well, but I want one that's like crispy. Also gonna do a big soundproof wall. Maybe, make it visually cool, like put some put some lights up. And I also have another lens. I've got a Sigma lens that's fixed and it is a really low aperture. So you get this cool blur effect in the background. I'd love to start filming with that too. But I don't have enough space in here to do it because it's a pretty zoomed in lens. So if I can set it up well in the next studio, I might start using that. But yeah, man, new studio coming soon. It's really exciting. But yeah, back to it. Some stuff that I wanted to dig into. We talked about balance and a budget, all in bodybuilding. How do we bodybuild on a budget? What some general tips and advices there? And then what some general tips and advices on balance. One thing I didn't talk about with budget, and I always have to reiterate this, man, I'm not a doctor. I will never, ever suggest anyone take any drug of any form. Don't do it. Don't do any drugs. But if you're trying to venture into taking any form of PEDs in bodybuilding and you can barely afford to eat the way a bodybuilder should, just skip it. Just wait till you can afford it. It's not gonna be. You're gonna stop. You're gonna quit. That's what's gonna happen. If you can't afford it and you're gonna try to do it, you're gonna quit. You're just not gonna make it. It's don't go broke trying to do it, man. Already if you don't make like a decent living to support bodybuilding, then just don't do it, man. Just bodybuild. Just bodybuild, which is eating and training. That's really what it is. And sleeping too. Um, but it's that stuff on repeat. It's not the drugs. Just don't do them. Just don't do them if you can't afford it because they're expensive. They're going to be really expensive. So just skip that part completely. The last thing that I kind of want to dig into, that I'll probably take up the remainder of the time here, is what, in my opinion, are the committed principles of being a real bodybuilder. If you're an Instagram model or a influencer or just a dude in the gym that's trying to get big, whatever, this might not be super applicable to you. Now, it could be because all of these things, you don't have to compete to apply these things and get the benefits from them. If you want to advance your physique at a super high level, which at the end of the day is what bodybuilding is, it doesn't necessarily mean you compete. If you want a super advanced, incredible physique, these are the committed principles of that person. Now, especially if you want to compete. If you're not doing these, I'm not gonna say you're gonna fail. I'm gonna say you're gonna blunt your progress significantly. The number one thing that I have on here, and this might come as a surprise a little bit, but this is just like a little piece of discipline that I found that a lot of people have a hard time with. But you don't drink. You don't drink alcohol. Okay. Now that being said, if you have a drink every once in a while, New Year's or your birthday, or literally maybe less than 4 to 5 times a year, then you're probably well in the clear. Now, most high level bodybuilders I know do not drink any alcohol. That doesn't mean, look, same thing, man. I don't support anybody like doing drugs of any type. But I will tell you that like if you smoke some weed, dog, I did for a long time. I don't smoke weed anymore. But it's not going to hurt your bodybuilding that much at all. A lot of bodybuilders smoke weed, man. That's a pretty common one because it doesn't really hurt bodybuilding. If anything, some people could argue that it could enhance. I know people that are like, oh, whenever I get high, my neurological connection whenever I train is crazy. There's no real science to support that. The fact is, it's probably just a placebo effect. I used to say the same thing But I've had horrible workouts whenever I smoked before. I've had great workouts when I smoked before. So at the end of the day, it boils down to the same principles of eating and training properly. I don't think that has anything to do with it, but as a recovery mechanism, I think it could probably be helpful. It does hurt your REM sleep, so if you're smoking right before you go to sleep, it's probably not ideal. But if you have a few hour gap before you go to bed, um, then it probably won't affect the REM sleep too much. You can probably get some good deep sleep. And a lot of people say it helps them sleep. The fact is that weed actually helps you maybe fall asleep quicker or feel like you're falling asleep quicker, but it does disrupt REM sleep. So I wouldn't suggest smoking immediately and then going to bed. You'll wake up probably feeling a little bit more drowsy than you could have. You're just probably lacking a little bit of recovery that you could be achieving without it right before you go to sleep. Now, throughout the day and post workout and stuff like that, there's some solid evidence on how it can reduce anxiety, inflammation, and probably help your body reduce stress in general. Now, it doesn't work that way for some people. Some people get extremely anxious. I went through my ups and downs with it where I felt like it eased my anxiety greatly. And there's other times, dude, it made me twice and three times and four times as anxious. Panic inducing. So you got to be careful with that too. But alcohol specifically is a detriment because one, it dehydrates you. Two, it turns directly to sugar in the bloodstream, which is going to hurt your insulin sensitivity. And three, it actually blocks protein synthesis, which is probably the biggest one there in that to be a high level bodybuilder, especially your body needs to synthesize protein at a high level, which means you need a solid amount of nutrient uptake by way of that carb shuttling that protein to the muscle and allowing it to bind with a muscle and recover properly. You're blocking that process whenever you drink. So especially like you go train and then you go have a drink, you're kind of negating your training in a lot of ways because protein, your body's ability to synthesize protein is highest post workout, which some people can argue about the whole anabolic window thing, whether that exists or not. The little window most people refer to doesn't, but there is substantial evidence to suggest that protein synthesis is highest post workout. So we need to be able to keep that at that peak level, and alcohol is going to block that. Now, maybe if you're drinking on like your off days, if you do drink more often as like a lifestyle person or something like that, you're not a bodybuilder, you drink like in your off days, you're still hurting your recovery a little bit, but it's probably not going to hurt you as much. But as a bodybuilder in general, it's a mental discipline that's applied first by just eliminating something from your life that's not going to be beneficial for you, really in any sense. Let's be honest. I know it's fun, but it's back to the same principle. I might have talked about this before, but like if you have to drink to enjoy somebody, or if you have to drink to enjoy some place or something, you probably don't enjoy that thing, place, or person. If you have to drink to enjoy it, right? So do what you love to do, and if you have to drink to enjoy it, probably suggest not. But as a bodybuilder, not drinking, it's huge, man. It's kind of like step one. Alcohol kills the gains, bro. Everybody knows that. And if you didn't, you know now. Two, you don't miss no meals, man. Don't miss your meals. It's just not acceptable as a high level bodybuilder. You gotta eat. It's one of the hardest parts about it is day in and day out. Chicken and rice, baby. Eat your veggies too. It's not always fun. You got to find ways to spice it up a little bit. Switch up the veggies, switch up your sauces, switch up the flavors. But if you don't like, those basic whole foods, you better learn to like them because your body's going to love it. And that's what you need to fuel those workouts. It's really about the nutrition is big time about how it helps you recover and how it helps actually fuel your training performance. That's why pre and post workout nutrition is so important. What do you feed in pre workout to make sure that you optimize your performance during the workout? Post workout, what do we do to make sure we optimize recovery post workout? And decrease stress as much as possible, decrease inflammation as much as possible. And in these higher protein diets, what are some other things that we put in to where we can maybe reverse some of the acidic processes that happen, considering that high protein diets with a lot of meat are fairly acidic diets. That's why a lot of people have acid reflux whenever they're bodybuilding. What do we do as a negative acid base to help kind of cancel out that acidic effect? What are some of these things that we can do as coaches, as bodybuilders, to make sure that our people are able to get the food in? It's all high quality stuff, and you do it every single day, and you make sure it's doable with your schedule too, and that you base your macros maybe closer around how your schedule operates, so you can hit really close to home with every single calorie you intake. And then just beyond that, man, it's just right back to what I said at first. Just don't miss. Just don't miss your meals. Eat your meals. And if you've got to, if you're dire scenario, you'd rather go eat something than nothing. So if it ends up you stopping at some place and you got to stop by the Chick-fil-A and you got to get a grilled chicken sandwich, you do what you got to do, man. But the fact is that when you need to eat, you need to eat. Now, if you're like in prep, don't do that shit. If you're in prep, well, you better be prepared. But it being in a prep, you got to have your life has kind of got to be right around you too, to make sure that you can plan properly to hit all those meals. But your off season, life gets crazy, stuff like that. You'd always rather eat than miss a meal. Third principle, my favorite one. You have to train like a dog. Okay? You can't have no bitch in you. You just can't. You've got to give it everything. I feel like I talk about this every other podcast now, and I'm fine with it because I love training. I love training. It's the only reason I bodybuild. If I didn't like training, dude, it means nothing to me to be big. I could care less. I'd probably just be playing basketball or football or something. I don't know. I'd just be having fun. I'm gonna go back to that one day too. Whenever all the being big wears off, and I retire from bodybuilding, you boys just gonna be hooping. I'll be playing some flag football. I'm gonna get involved. I might go play some old man softball, just hitting dingers. But I'm gonna get back to some sport stuff. But like, whenever it comes to why I love bodybuilding, it's because I love to train, man. I love to train. I like food too, so it's easy enough to eat. It's not too bad. Sometimes you don't want to eat it, but whatever. But I love to train. So if you don't absolutely love to train and love the progress and love getting stronger, you don't bodybuild. Don't do it. You're never going to last. If you're doing it for a look, you're out of there. You're out of there. Don't do it for the look. You got to do it because you love to do it. And dude, I love to train. So whenever you train, give everything you got. I also really like the technical and mechanical aspect of training. That part is really enjoyable for me too, where we're focused on how can I want to mechanically execute something perfectly and then do it at such a high level. Do it with some crazy weight. You know what I mean? Like it's way hard. It's pretty easy if you have any genes for strength. And for me, especially whenever I was, you know, 50 pounds ago or so, now when I was like 160 or so, playing football and playing sports in general, I was always strong. I always had, and my family's strong. I have good genes for strength. Strength was never really a problem for me, and moving weight A to B was never really a problem for me. I think I mentioned before I was 19 when I squatted 505 at 19. I'm just now getting back to that because I pretty much it was my form was so bad. It wasn't so bad. It was just like very kind of like power lifter. I had a really wide stance, just all glutes firing out of the bottom, very little quad activation. My core was always kind of loose, and my back was doing a lot of the work. It was like a super posterior dominant back squat. And now I think it's very full body. And just yesterday, I hit 5 plates per side on a Smith machine back squat for five. So actually having 5 plates on a bar doing a squat again felt really good. And I'm back. I think I'm stronger than I was then. But I reinvented the squat to make sure it was perfect, top to bottom. Foot position, I brought it in a lot closer. Core got a lot tighter. Knees traveling forward more. Sitting all the way down in the squat. Good depth, big drive with the chest up, and keeping everything around my body just super tight. But, excuse me, training super hard and also executing on a really high mechanical level. It's so rewarding. It is so rewarding. And then you progressive overload and getting to see yourself get stronger and stronger and stronger. If you're doing things right, it's like recently I've lost about 10 pounds and I was still getting stronger. It's just like the proper principles applied by nutrition. Don't miss meals. Train like a dog. And you get stronger. You keep going. If your deficit's not too steep, and obviously, if you're deep in a bodybuilding prep or something like that, you're not going to be getting any stronger. You're definitely going to be, there's going to be some point of tapering off in progression or a little bit of regression even. But, you should probably, you should probably be able to maintain strength through a prep pretty well, especially if you're not natural. If you're enhanced at all, definitely should be able to keep that strength up. Another piece of this outside of training really hard is time management. Time management is so important as a bodybuilder. You've got a lot of time during your day. You got to eat food. You got time that you got to dedicate to training. If you're in prep, you got time you got to dedicate to cardio and training, which is probably a really long cardio too. You're probably doing a lot of cardio, and then you got to work, and then you got to have a regular life, and you've got to see your significant other. You got to hang out with your family. All of these things, you got to be able to prioritize your time properly. Realize too that it's not going to leave a lot of time at the end of the day for all the little fun things that you want to do. There's 1,000 things that I want to do that I love to do, man. I love cars. I just want to be outside, work on my car. I love music. I just want to pluck on my guitar or write melodies or something. Like these things I really enjoy. I like playing some video games too every once in a while. Like kick it with my girl and play some Mario Kart or like she hates Mario Kart now. She hates Mario Kart. That's a different story. But or whatever. Get on with my boys and play some Rocket League or something. Just something like I like doing that stuff. I like to do all that, but sometimes you just don't have time. You just don't have time because you gotta prioritize time for the things that are pushing you forward, and propelling you forward in your progress, and realize maybe down the road what's going to be important to you. How badly did you want it? How badly did you want to progress? How badly did you want to be high level at what you're doing? Are you going to dedicate proper times towards that? So time management is incredibly important. Get your meals ready ahead of time. Don't be falling behind, man. I'm grateful for my girl, for my roommate too, man. Like they've helped me cook so many times. Like whenever I'm falling behind, I'm like, yo, can you cook my blank 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 for me? And they hooked your boy up. So thankful for all that. Thankful for the people that helped me and helped me manage my time. But the fact is just don't fall behind. Do whatever you got to do. If you got somebody that can help you, that's awesome. If you don't, wake up half an hour early. Get your food cooked, man. Get your food cooked. Get everything taken care of. And just to make sure you set yourself up so you do not miss. Time management is huge because then also you got to be able to perform at your job. You got to be able to perform at whatever it is else that you got to do. You got to be able to perform at the gym. You need to be at high level performance at the gym, which also means that you need to get as much sleep as you should get, which is, that 7 to 9 hour range. You need to be in there. So prioritize your time properly. Make sure you're not wasting time. Little time wasted throughout the day stacks up. You sitting there scrolling on social media for 10, 20 minutes even. That's 10, 20 minutes gone that you ain't going to get back. That's 10, 20 minutes you could have taken and you could have finished a meal. You could have cooked a meal. You could have hydrated more. You could have done something to propel yourself towards being a successful bodybuilder. And, just don't waste it. Last principle of what I believe is extremely important for the committed bodybuilder, for the person that wants that high level physique, right, is mental fortitude. It just wraps up 1 through 4. You have to be strong mentally. You will never make it deep into a prep when body fat's super low and you're starving, you'll never make it through those peak mass phases where you're absolutely cramming food till you're sweating, till you lay down at night and you're uncomfortable to where it's hard for you to bend over and tie your shoes. You're not going to make it through brutal workouts. You're going to quit early. You're going to tap out. That's what's cool about bodybuilding is because in my opinion physically, it's just not all that hard. It's not like training like for MMA. That level of training is brutal. Those workouts are brutal. Cardio and condition until you want to throw up and then go wrestle immediately. Cardio and condition until you want to throw up and then stand up and hit mitts. Like that's brutal. Football, run 110s. Run a 110, then push a sled 110 yards. Then do it again. And then do it 15 times. You know what I mean? That's that fourth quarter style conditioning. That stuff is brutal. That's a different level of training. So training hard in the gym, it shouldn't be all that tough. Mentally, it shouldn't be all that tough. It's everything else combined. It's the fact that you got to do that day in and day out. It's the fact that you got to eat it day in and day out. It's the fact that no, you can't have that little slice of birthday cake. No, you can't have a drink with your friends. No, you got to skip happy hour. No, you can't stay up another 30 minutes and watch your show. No, you need to get to sleep. You need to eat all your food and you need to train every single day like an animal. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of toughness mentally. To be honest, man, the best bodybuilders in the world, there ain't no bitch in them. Men, women, your highest level ain't an ounce of bitch in them. It's what they do. They're dogs mentally. They're dogs. There's a lot of people, and now I'm talking about how hard like all these other type of sport conditioning and workouts are. There's a lot of people from the sports that couldn't bodybuild because they don't have it mentally to do. I'm saying that those are tougher physically. Those are definitely tougher physically. I think it's easier to push through a workout that's really, really hard and know that it ends and you can go eat Chipotle. Or you can go do it, you can kind of do what you want. Same principles apply. If you want to be a high level athlete, you got to eat it too. You got to sleep it too, the same ways. But the fact is that it's not demanded by the sport the way bodybuilding is. Bodybuilding demands that you train like a dog every single day, day in and day out. Say every single day. You know what I mean? On your split. Obviously, you take your off days, but every single day you train. Every single training day, you give every single thing that you've got. You go foot all the way on the gas. Every single workout, every single meal, you don't miss. You get used to eating the same things day in and day out, and then you sleep it too. You get all the sleep that you need. You're responsible with yourself. You're responsible with your decisions. And at night, you wind down the way you should. You don't just sit up and binge TV shows and movies for hours. You probably practice some spiritual and mental discipline practices as well that I think are super important, man. Like, in my opinion, reading and praying and studying and meditating and flexing your mental muscle more is incredibly important as a bodybuilder, and having that mental fortitude and realizing that progressing yourself mentally and progressing yourself spiritually, these things are incredibly important to making sure that you maintain the discipline and understand your why of what you're doing and remember who you are. It's easy to get lost in all of it. And for me particularly, as I started actually getting bigger and start making progress, I started realizing that I'm very grateful for who I am as a person, that I'm not a very vain person. Ashes to ashes, man. We're all going to die one day. I'm not going to be big forever. I'm not going to have this physique forever. It's all going to go away. So whenever people come up and they give me a compliment or say something kind or a little shocked or taken aback by the weight that I'm using or just physique in general, whatever it might be, someone daps you up and says something nice, man, I really try to take that moment in and thank that person for being kind. And that it means a lot to me. It's very sweet. But also it will never inflate my ego. It will never make me a different person. I am the person right now that I was 10 years ago, man, when I was just playing ball. Like, there's no difference. There's no difference. I just do something different now. And visually, it carries something different with it. But the fact is if you're doing it for attention, you're probably doing it for the wrong reason too. Get in your mind and realize why you're doing it. You're trying to do things mentally that's hard that other people can't do because they don't have the mental discipline to do. You want to be that person, right? So do it. Outside of that, yeah, I mean, to wrap it up, man, everything that we talked about, right? Like balance and bodybuilding on a budget. What does that look like? How do you balance your work life? How do you balance your relationships? How do you balance all those things while you're bodybuilding? How do you bodybuild whenever you can't really afford to bodybuild? If you want it bad enough, man, you're gonna make it happen. I know. Whenever I couldn't afford to bodybuild, I wanted to make it happen so bad. So I didn't love my food. I especially didn't love it back then. I was slamming tuna. I was slamming tuna, and I was buying cheap protein. And I was eating a lot of rice and bread sometimes, but it was all cheap stuff, man. But if you want it, you got to make it happen. I wasn't eating out because, dude, you can't afford to eat out. Whenever I did, it was like Wendy's, like once a month. And then the balance part. It's not going to be super balanced. If you want to be great, you're just not going to have that like balanced lifestyle that everyone desires. And if you want to live that way, it might be sustainable for a longer period of time. But if you really want to be great, you want to put yourself ahead, it's going to be tough, man. It's just going to be tough balancing everything. And you got to be willing to accept that, and you've got to have that mental fortitude to be able to really make it happen. It ain't gonna be easy by any means. Outside of that, those committed principles of the bodybuilder. You don't drink. You don't miss meals. You train like a dog. You manage your time wisely, and you've got mental fortitude to apply every single one of those first four. Here's the deal, man. Whoever you are, if you're doing it, if you believe in yourself, I believe in you. Because you don't have to come from anything special. You don't have to be genetically elite. If you have that self-belief, if you practice that mental fortitude, if you give everything you have to this thing and you want to be great, I believe in you. You got to believe in yourself, though. The people that have that extremely high level of self-belief, that it doesn't mean that you have to be arrogant by any means. You don't have to tell everybody that hey, I'm going to be Mr. Olympia one day. Like, you don't got to be that guy. You can keep it all to yourself. But if you believe that that's you, I guarantee you're going to make it a lot further. I guarantee you that you're going to be in that top 1%. All the people that, they're second guessing themselves all the time, they're probably going to fizzle out. There might be a couple of those guys that make it to a high level just because maybe they're just genetically extremely talented to do so. But those are very few and far between. The people that believe in themselves at a super high level, that's so powerful, man. I'm telling you, your mind leads your body. Your mind leads everything that you do. Things are only as hard as you make them. Something is as difficult as you make it out to be in your mind. I know people that have that work like absolute dogs, just like constant. They're working 60 and 70 hours a week, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm good." Yeah, like it's what I do. I know people. Some people I'm very close with that just never stop, dude. They wake up at 5 and they're done at like 9, 10 every night. I complain about doing that for a day. There's people that do that every single day, and they're good. And they're good. They take their little bit of time and do the stuff that they want to in the spare time they do have, but they're good with living that lifestyle of just never stopping, because they probably have a very high level of self-belief that they can handle whatever that they're put under, and I promise you, those type of people, man, you're gonna get what you deserve out of life. You're gonna get exactly what you deserve. You reap what you sow, and whatever you sow, if it's high level, that's what you're gonna get right back. It's all this is, man. Energy cannot be destroyed, only transferred. So what you put out there, you're going to get back. Like, it just seems to me so simple that there are like these principles that are even like scientifically applicable that you can carry into your life. The energy that you put out there, you're going to get back. Whether it's in a thought process, in an actual action, in the words that you say, whatever it might be, you're going to get it back, man. It's just how it works. I've seen it happen time and time and time and time again in my life. It's almost too simple, but it's challenging. It's simple, but it's not easy. You know, everyone talks about, something all these discussions I've been having lately about like morality and ethics, and something I found kind of interesting is like how, and even I've had this thought in my mind of being like, it's way easier to be bad than it is to be good, right? Like that, but the more I've thought about it, I'm like, I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true. It might be like tougher in the moment sometimes to like do the right thing per se, because it's not always easy, but like once you start to realize that like if you do the right thing and if you do what's good, all of a sudden like everything becomes so crystal clear, and that just pays you back. So like if you do good, you have a good life. If you do bad, what do you think's going to happen? Like it seems really simple, and it kind of is. So I don't know, I've had that thought a lot lately. It's like this whole thought that like it's just we're naturally inclined to be evil or bad in some way. It just doesn't, I don't know how I feel about it. It feels off to me. The whole principle feels off to me. And then maybe at the same time, whenever I think about maybe we're more naturally inclined to be good, maybe I set myself up for failure and disappointment from other people. But I don't know. I don't even know how I got on that subject. But the fact is if you believe in yourself, if you want to be high level at whatever you do, I believe in you. Just keep believing in yourself. Keep your head up. Keep rocking. Life gonna be hard sometimes, but hey, man, anything worth doing is not gonna be easy. So keep it rocking. Everybody watching, love you, appreciate you. Do all the things, man. Help your boy out. Give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see anybody on the podcast, if you want to see any specific topics to talk about, drop it in the comments. And yeah, make sure you save this, watch it for later, whatever you might do. Do it for your boy. Hey, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for all the love. I appreciate all of the congratulations on the engagement and stuff. All that stuff is awesome, man. I really appreciate y'all. Y'all the best. Had a lot of love about that. So yeah, gang, until next time, next Thursday, we're gonna get rocking again. And we'll probably do Q&A then too, and dig into some more subjects that y'all want to hear about. But I hope that y'all are able to take at least one good thing from today's podcast. So appreciate it. Number 10 down, finally, double digits. Wait till we hit triple, and then quadruple digits. Wait till episode 1000. Sheesh. All right, appreciate y'all, gang.